In the not too distant past, there was a saying that people commonly used that went like this: why don't you go pound sinew? Or go pound sinew. That was the saying. Now, that saying, of course, isn't around very much anymore because in our modern lifestyle, we don't really use sinew very much, or animal hides or anything like that, unless you're really into those type of things. But most people have no real recollection or experience with sinew for the most part. So let me put it into context for you. So in our modern day sense, let's pretend that you're in a group of people and there's a real annoying kid or a real annoying person and you'd like to get rid of them. You might say something like, "Get lost," for example, to that kid. Why don't you get lost? Or just get lost, right? Another one that we commonly use would be, "Why don't you take a long walk off a short pier?" Right? And the gist of it is that you're trying to get rid of somebody who's annoying, right? Well, it was the same way with the saying that I mentioned in the beginning here about sinew. In that if you were trying to get rid of somebody who was annoying, you would say, "Why don't you go pound sinew?" Because the truth of it, as you're going to see in this little video, is pounding sinew is, well, not fun. It's mundane, it's boring, it's time consuming, and a bit of a pain in the butt. So, yeah, if you want to get rid of somebody, you'd say, "Go pound sinew." So, in any case, I'm going out to pound some sinew. And I decided I'd go out for a little walk here in December and do this little snippet of the video and just see what I can find as far as tools go to pound some sinew with. Now down there behind me is the Paddle River, and there's some open water just down there, and I'm pretty sure that I can find some rocks for pounding sinew. Because let's face it, in the winter here in Alberta, when the ground is so frozen, it's very hard to find rocks. So you have to think outside the box and look for where you'll find rocks. And usually it's on cut banks, eroded banks, washed out beaver lodges, and that sort of thing is where you'll find rock. And just behind me there is that open lead from the beaver dam that hasn't quite frozen over yet. And then just down right over here, just under these spruce trees that are right beside me here, I'm hoping that we're going to find some rocks. When we canoed this river in the summer, I spotted some eroded banks, and I think it's probably a good bet that we'll find some there. Just as you can see right there, right in front of me, there's a whole bunch of rocks under there. They're hopefully loose enough that they're not stuck in the frozen ground and frozen solid. I may have to take one rock and bang it into some of the other rocks. All I need to do is get one loose, and then I can use it to bang some other rocks loose. Lots of loose ones under here. I don't even have to work hard at it. Right under this little area. Anyways, we're here to gather rocks and experience the excitement of pounding sinew. Oh, there's a big one there. Ooh, sinew pounder. Okay, so here we are. I got some rocks. 1, 2, 3 rocks, very cold. And here, from the previous videos, this is some of the back sinew off the back of a deer in the nice long sheets that came off the outer surface of the back straps. And then here, this is a moose tendon. I bet you I'm not going to do anything with this but other than admire it. To pound this into threads, oh boy, that would take some work. And then here I've got, there's a deer tendon right there, and that's fairly thick. I didn't split this piece at all, so that'll take quite a bit of work to pound. And here's actually a tendon or a piece of sinew that I did pound a little bit at a previous time. So this stretch right here has been pounded right where I'm showing you in my fingers, and it's starting to fray and become somewhat fibrous, as you can see right there. And then here it hasn't been pounded at all. And I grabbed one too that I'd worked on quite some time ago, and I just wanted to show you that the larger, thicker piece of sinew like we have right here means more pounding. It takes quite a lot of effort to pound and pound and pound and pound until you start getting these nice thin fibers, and that's ultimately what we're looking for. So in the last video you would have seen me do what I call splitting, in which I take the sinew right off the animal and I split it into more manageable small pieces. These are still pretty rigid and pretty inflexible, and I'm going to pound them a little bit and hopefully we'll get some good success. And you're pounding it until they soften up, until the outer sheath starts to flake and almost fall off, and you're left with a nice fibrous, almost thread-like piece that you can then use for sewing or for sinew backing or other crafts. Now watch this, pay attention, because it's pretty complex, pretty fancy. Ready? Did you see that? Here, I'll show you again. I know it's tough to follow. Ready? Alright, now slow motion. That's pounding sinew. Alright, now let's get serious here. So I am pounding it now, and you'll notice that I'm rolling it a bit with one hand. This hand I roll it, and that creates an oval shape to it, and then the rock is better able to squish and pound down on that. Yeah, it's working nicely actually. Here, let's turn this rock around a little bit. Da-da-da! Let's go pound some sinew! This is probably when they invented songs and stories, because they'd sit around spending a lot of time doing stuff like this. La 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 la. Alright, so that's just a couple of moments of pounding. Let's have a look. See what's happening. Oh, look at that. This one broke. Ah! Is it too cold? How about that? I wonder if it's too cold. Let's try another piece. Let's try some of these smaller ones. It could very well be that I've just learned something. I've never pounded it outside in the winter before. So it could very well be that we just learned a good lesson. I'll know shortly as soon as I go to pull on this and see. Ah, it broke! I just learned something rather interesting about pounding when it's cold out, and some of it broke. I'm guessing because the rocks are so cold and the sinew is so cold. So didn't anticipate that. And so us modern bushcrafters are learning as we go. I know this works inside when it's warm. I know it does. And we'll show that here shortly. So I'm going to just gather my little bits here and take them back to the house, and we'll carry on from there. Why don't you go pound sinew? Just go pound sinew. Get lost. Just go pound sinew. Hey, why don't you go pound sinew? You know, you should go pound some sinew. Anyways, back inside now. Over the years, I've pounded sinew using a bunch of different things. I've used rocks on rocks. I've used sticks on rocks. I've used sticks and rocks on stumps. And I've used things like good old framing hammers. Colleen found this hammer for pounding in tent pegs, and I've tried that. It's a good hard plastic, and I tried that. But ultimately what it came down to was this guy right here. I'm not even sure where I found it. Garage sale or something like that. But it's hard rubber. It's basically a hard rubber mallet. And this is my favorite. And I've gone beyond using a rock, although I sometimes still hit on the rocks. But I've found that actually I get the most success out of this using this rubber mallet right on the good old cement floor, right on the concrete floor. All of them will eventually get you there. All of the techniques or tools that you use will eventually get your sinew pounded. Some of it is just a little faster than others, a little easier than others. And one of the big things that I like about this rubber mallet on the concrete floor, the rubber absorbs the impact a bit, and I find it a lot easier on my wrist doing that repetitive movement over and over and over for quite a long time. This just tends to be easier on the body. Let's do a little check and see what's happening. Yeah, so it's already starting to fray a bit. There's a bit of fat. See that? It's leaving a bit of a stain on there. Yeah, we'll just get rid of that. Nice. Look at that. Just dividing it into little pieces now. And you can make these as large or as small as you like. There we go. Good. Nice. Those are pretty short, but they'll do the trick. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, which I will take some of the pounded sinew and put it onto the back of a small Saskatoon bow. And by the way, if you happen to have some spare time and would like to come on over and help me pound some sinew, that would be greatly appreciated. I've got quite a few hours of work ahead of me to process this stuff. So come on over and we'll put on a pot of bush tea and away we go. Thanks for watching.